Welcome, Dylan. I guess I'll start by introducing myself. So, my name is John. I am the head of sales with Outbuild. I've been in construction now for over 10 years, coming from a family of builders, by the way, of Penn State and DPR construction. That then led me to join Outbuild to help with the scheduling and planning work. So today with us to talk about his experience is Dylan Keller. Dylan, if you could just introduce yourself, your role, and then the company that you're working with.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me on, John. Looking forward to the conversation here. But as you said, I'm Dylan Keller, Director of Operations at Warfel Construction Company, and we are a general contractor, construction manager, serving the Mid-Atlantic region for several mid-states here on the East Coast. So looking forward to the conversation today and talking a little bit about Outbuild.
Awesome. So the first one I always love to ask, I kind of nudged on. I got through construction because of my family being builders for 5 generations, and I wanted to make money one summer. My dad told me you could hold a shovel. Let's go pour concrete. I'll pay you $40 a day, and that's when I was 14. So that's
Yeah.
my experience through construction. But I'd be curious on what drove you to join this industry.
Yeah, mine, I would say I kind of fell into it a little bit. So I'd say I started my college career in architecture. And what drove me there was, Lego building, liking that idea of designing, building buildings, seeing start from nothing in a final product. And I thought that translated directly to architecture as I was, going through school and everything. But in college, had a change of heart from the design side more to the build side and the built environment. And upon graduating, started here at Warfel back in 2016 as a field engineer out in the field. So then getting to experience the construction firsthand of actually being out on the construction job sites.
That's awesome. We have Mike, our head of customer success, that started as an architect, and he didn't work in architecture for too long and was very attracted by the field side as well.
Yeah, definitely missed that field element of being able to be part of that building process and just being able to walk away from a product with the team and say, wow, we did that. And that's definitely a key piece that, drives me from the passion side of what I do.
How did that impacted your approach to collaborating with design team, knowing that you were on that side before? I guess as a PM, you were more inclined to understand their challenges and wanting to collaborate on that end a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my experience, just more on the schooling side of it, none of it professionally, but still gave me a glimpse of, what their background is and the thought process and how they're approaching different things. And really from a design aesthetic standpoint, as much as it is constructability as well. So just, thinking through is like, while we can construct it this way, is it the way that the building is designed to be portrayed for the end user experience and that final person that's going to be in that building, using it day in and day out? How are they going to experience the building?
I'm sure the architecture workers appreciate that. It's always a bit
We
of a
hope so. Yeah.
battle. So what has been your experience on how did you get introduced to scheduling and planning? Did that start during college, even in the architecturing side?
Yeah, so I'd say even in college, got somewhat of experience to more of like a Microsoft project product back then. Very early on, I'd call it, more elementary schedules, basic work breakdown structure from foundations to structure to envelope and finishes. Not detailed to what I was able to experience once starting in the field full time. Then that coupled with Excel, which it seems like it's you can never kick Excel. It always finds its way back into your process and procedures. But I'd say it started out with those two, and then upon joining the team here at Warfel, we were a user of Asta Power Project, so that's where I got my start from scheduling and just being my exposure to software, learning a scheduling software, especially a true CPM critical path scheduling software. That coupled with again still Excel, it can still was around. So those are two where I got my start from a scheduling software standpoint.
Nice. And then what was the most critical change from what you learned at school versus what you saw happen in the field as far as expectations?
Yeah, I'd say definitely that level of detail of putting it into your schedule to actually be able to run a project from it successfully. I know my first several schedules might start out with might have been 20, 30 lines, sit down with a superintendent to run through it to make it to where we can actually utilize it and function. Next thing you know, it's 60, 70, 80 lines just in the level of detail that's actually needed for the trades to understand where do I need to be, when, what am I working on to create that flow throughout the project.
And then in your case, you mentioned that you build that contract schedule in Asta Power Project, and then the field would be using Excel spreadsheet to manage look ahead.
Yeah, pretty much. So we share that large CPM schedule with the field staff, of course, but like when you look at the day-to-day of what needs done, how the field is managing the schedule out on the job site, and then that key piece of communication between our trade partners that are working with us on that project, that 3-week schedule becomes the component of that, and everything really hinges on that piece of communication in the 3-week schedule.
Nice. So let's take a step back because I want to tie this into overall goals at Warfel. How do you track performance of project? Do you have specific KPIs that helps you, on a monthly basis, knowing which jobs to keep an eye on?
Yeah, every month, each one of our teams fills out our KPI sheet. Schedule's a big part of that. Of course, financial, you can't have KPIs in project management without the financial side of things. But then also, change management from RFIs, submittals, approval times there. And then biggest, client satisfaction as well. We can't have any of the other stuff if our client's not satisfied in our ability to deliver a high quality product for them. But one of those key 5 KPIs that we're looking at is that schedule and our ability to track it well and be able to communicate, share the story if things are changing, why are they changing, proactively getting in front of them and having those conversations as necessary.
And how do you feel that Asta and Excel was helping you support or achieve those goals?
I would say they each filled their own role, but the communication was in a silo. Neither of them talked to one another. We had, I'd say, a breakdown in communication between what is the work actually going on the job site, and then what are we showing is going on and communicating back to the client of what's happening on the job site through the CPM schedule, and just through. I mean, the built environment and the job site coming together and the bricks and sticks out there, like that changes so much in a day's time, especially in a week's time. I mean, hour by hour, you're seeing large changes out there, and it's almost impossible to try and keep up with the significant changes in a CPM schedule unless you're in it every single day. And it's hard to be in that every single day. So that communication breakdown between those two avenues and managing basically the exact same project in 2 separate areas, can lead you into some trouble if you're not on top of it.
And what was the process of updating from the look ahead in the field to updating the master schedule?
I would say sometimes on a weekly basis, if not on a bi-weekly basis. Project engineer, field engineer, project manager, having a conversation with the superintendent of what's currently going on the job site, walking it with them, trying to get an idea of, okay, we say we're doing this right now. Are we doing this right now? Has it started? What's the percent complete? Then trying to translate that back into the CPM schedule. And, a lot of the time, yep, might line up great. We're right on track. But then I would also say some of the time, a lot of the time, you might lose a day here, lose a day there, and next thing you know, those days they start stacking on top of each other. It's hard to see those days when it's just a day here and a day there. Like if you don't have a large weather delay or something like that, a material delivery that doesn't come on time, that's a significant change to slide you a week or 2 weeks here or there, months at a time. Like it doesn't necessarily come up to the surface to draw attention to it. You'll lose a day, you'll lose another day. Next thing you know, you've lost a week, several weeks down the road, and it's a lot harder to recover at that point in time.
Yeah, and I mean, what happens then when you have those delays? What are the options for recovery?
Yeah, I mean, usually what everybody tries to do is acceleration and trade stacking. And I would say, you're going to make a lot of trade partners mad compressing the schedule that way because can it be done? Yes. It's hard to do. It's hard to do right. And when we're in situations like that, our safety suffers because we are trying to rush to get a project done, and our quality can suffer at that point in time. And I'd say, again, going back to client satisfaction and from a safety standpoint, sending everyone home in the way in which they came that day. We don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we have to make up time, do rework because we compromise that Warfel value and product and client satisfaction in the process.
Yeah, and I mean, in the end, it's how long can you work weekends and overtime and still maintain any production? Like all
Yeah,
in all,
exactly. And
okay.
it brings down the morality of the job. People don't want to be there anymore. It can really take a toll on the people that have to be out there getting the project done.
And which in the long term ends up impacting all of the other KPIs because scheduling
Yeah,
will mess up your financials, your quality, your client relationship, and everything else.
you bet.
What?
It's all linked together.
Yeah, absolutely. What? Why do you think that, and how do you feel about the last 20 years of evolution in the scheduling solution before Outbuild?
Yeah, I mean, we're coming from, probably paper and pen at one point in time to Excel, and which, again, has its value, but that it's so, um, you know, interchangeable and you can do so much with it. There's a lot of human error that can happen with Excel. It takes a lot of updating and management as well to the P6s, the Power Projects, the Astas, which, again, brought value at a point in time with the CPM scheduling. But then we can take it a step further. One, access our schedules now through a cloud-based platform, which again, when we talk about connectivity, being able to get information at our fingertips in real time when we need it out on the job site, not just back at the office. Couple that with the communication that now exists between having a 3-week schedule and a CPM schedule truly linked together from a communication and updating standpoint. Now we're starting to, get the wheels turning of working in synergy, and so everybody's on the exact same page, working from the same note of music and moving forward.
Would you say that it was as a necessary of a change as when you implemented Procore back in the days to get away from like the paper processes and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say you don't fully understand the benefits of it until you start to you take, that leap of faith. You use the product, you buy it, and you're moving forward, you're implementing it on your teams, and you have superintendents, field staff, project managers then giving feedback like, wow, this is a great product, and here's why. There's only so much you can fully understand when you get a demo of a product, but when you actually can get in there, utilize it with your information. I mean, we had a senior project manager that came to me and said, "Hey, Dylan, like this is what scheduling dreams are made of," and it's a comment like that that really sticks with me. And it's like, wow, we did make the right decision in moving forward with this product.
And in the end, it's there's we come across a lot of general contractors that will say, well, Microsoft Project in Excel or Asta in Excel, P6 in Excel work enough. It's good enough because it feels like they haven't been exposed to other solution. They don't know what they don't know in a way. So they
Yeah.
can't quite grasp sometimes, oh, having a connected solution will help you get to XYZ and actually helps your team. And is this the most important part? If I could save my team a couple hours. But to kind of take it a step back, again, I'm curious, how did you come across Outbuild? Was it our team that reached out? Did you see us somewhere else? What was your first impression?
Yeah, so it was back prior to the rebranding to Outbuild. It was Pro Planner at the time, and ran into the team just at a booth at a Procore groundbreaking tech conference. So in the expo hall out there, talked with some of the team at that point in time, and knew that there's something here. There's something with that collaboration between the 3-week and the just user interface, and like there's the product stuck with me, I would say, over the next year plus. While I knew that we had, just through feedback from team members over time, that our current scheduling, I'd say, system, but also process procedure in itself was a little broken, but it wasn't the top priority at the time. And year and a half later, here we go, come around, and we're like, okay, it's a top priority now. We want to tackle this issue and just fully vet out. Maybe Excel and Asta is the best product out in the market, but let's do an evaluation. Let's see everything that was out there. And at that point in time, when I'm sitting down to kind of list through the products that we want to take a look at, I remembered, oh, year and a half ago, met some folks over at Pro Planner, now Outbuild. Let's bring them to the table, just based off of that conversation we had at Groundbreak.
And what would you say was the key differentiator that told you, yeah, like we need to implement Outbuild and let go of our former
Yeah,
solution?
I mean, this is a really good question because a lot of people try and draw kind of a dollar for dollar ROI on what they're going to get back from a product. And I found it's not that easy. It's really not when you talk about just the user interface, the accessibility of a product and your employee satisfaction when scheduling. Because in order to do scheduling right and run your projects through, truly run your projects through the schedule, you have to be in there a lot. And quite frankly, as a project manager, if I don't enjoy the software that I'm using, I'm going to be adverse to do it. I'm not going to want to do it. I'm going to do it because I have to, because it's a requirement of my job, but not because it's required for the success of my project. And I think that when you factor in those elements, the communication piece between the 3 week and the CPM schedule, the ability to access the information cloud-based, not have to VPN connection, secure connection in to get to our network to get to the schedule. It's these items that are just, they add up to really provide an evaluation for the product that you can't necessarily do. Hey, dollar for dollar, we're going to save 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever, on every project running it through Outbuild, and it's going to equal XYZ on the back end of it. Yeah, you can try and do that, but I don't think you're going to realize the true value of the product there.
Yeah, that's all. I know we try doing this because it's always a conversation that's important to have is, why are you making a change and what is
Mhm.
it that you're trying to improve upon? And I think what we came across when we talked at first together is, yes, there's opportunity for me to save delays, but how do I quantify was thanks to Outbuild or not? But the key thing that you focused on is if I could save a couple hours a week to my teams and not having to do an Excel back into Asta or having that double data entry, and they could spend time looking at the roadblocks or time walking the field or just take a 20-minute break. Like if you add this up over, 30, 40 jobs you have and everything,
Yeah.
you're not gaining money back in your bank account, but you have your employees that you're paying anyway, spending valuable time to do something else.
Yeah, and it's giving them the ability to do something elsewhere. So if it's 1, 2 hours less that you're spent doing your schedule, maybe that's 1, 2 hours more you're spent on the phone with the client, making sure that their needs are taken care of. And what does that lead to down the road? Maybe more projects, better relationships, whether it be with clients or trade partners, and that's invaluable.
And then, yeah, that's something that's again hard to quantify, but the idea is, like you said, if they enjoy the product, they'll spend more time in it. And if
Right.
they could spend more time identifying roadblocks in the roadblocks module and tracking those, that will lead to less rework. And then, that frustration the subs have.
Yeah, that's a great point. We didn't even talk about the roadblocks. I mean, that was just like cherry on top to me of being able, when we did the evaluation of Outbuild. It was funny. I built out this criteria of all the different schedule softwares, what checks what boxes, and I think I had maybe 8 criteria, 10 criteria, and then really got to meet with you and experience the Outbuild product, and it probably added at least 5, 8 more criteria onto my scorecard at that point in time that only Outbuild could satisfy because it was the only product that had them. So again, it started to tell that story of just the features and the feature-rich abilities adding to our experience of the end user. So again, those roadblocks, the ability to couple that with our use of Procore, tie submittals, tie RFIs into like actual tasks within the schedule that are linked together, so that way we can truly run our project through the schedule itself. Again, it's different than we've done in the past, and I think is the right approach to take to successfully deliver a project.
Talking about the connection with Procore, and we know scheduling, because it was software based, has been siloed. And even my experience when I was at DPR, it's always been scheduling somewhere, everything else somewhere else, and you can't talk through it. One thing that everybody is trying to improve is the procurement piece. So can you tell us how you were doing it before Outbuild launched the procurement connection to Procore?
Yeah, so we would, I mean, procurement is a hot button item for us here at Warfel. I would say we strive just as best practice to get all of our procurement buyout done within the first 30 days after project turnover. Get those, understanding that the material market is very volatile. You want to get them released. You want to get all of them coming, so that way we're not holding the project up later on in the process, waiting on material at that point in time. Kickstarts the submittal process, gets all that going, gets it in the right hands of the design team, so they can work through that on our end. And hopefully we can sift out any scope gaps, problems, material issues, availability on the front end with still time to react. But a key part of tracking that material in the procurement process, again, is the lead time tracking, material tracking of all those, especially those high lead time items, electrical gear, roofing materials, whatever they may be that are super critical into you delivering your project on time. And the ability to track them within the schedule and link them again back to what we try to consider our single source of truth with Procore, in order to be able to run the project from a project management standpoint. Again, is while it might be a different software, we can still, whether it's embedded within Procore itself to access Outbuild, and then being able to have the data connection between the two, again, makes it feel like it's not a separate siloed, software where your data doesn't communicate back and forth. Prior to the ability to link, submittals directly in, we're adding each one of those submittals to kind of the procurement section at the top of our CPM schedule. And again, though, like, it's hard to track them in real time when they're not tied back to the submittals back in Procore as we are processing them. And you can kind of that last planner mentality of, okay, we know when we need it on the job site for X on the schedule. Let's back into that lead time, probably put a little bit of fluff in there because we know we're going to need it, and then back into the review period, procurement period, and so on and so forth.
And that is also a testament to making sure that's connected in real time. I don't know if you were ever the PE on the job that had to update the scheduled start date back into the procurement log, but I did this on many projects, and it's just crazy that it was a thing for so long that now I was so proud when we launched that feature. It's like, there's a PE somewhere that doesn't have to manually input that anymore, and they could just focus on getting stuff getting approved.
Exactly.
And I mean, there's also the designer, the partner piece. They know now that when they look at Procore and the order of when the submittals are needed, or like the subcontractors, it's based off of the schedule. So there's no need to send 100 submittals for approval at the same time. No, your schedule says so. This is the order. Now your design team can focus on one at a time to keep the schedule moving, and it helps them get organized a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, review the mechanical submittal before the paint drawdowns, right? What's critical to getting it released at that point in time for the project?
About Procore and Outbuild, I mean, we keep improving, and I'd be curious on your experience as before Outbuild, you probably had a solution that would launch a new solution every 5 years, and you have to buy it again. So how is it to be partnered with a scheduling solution that listen to your feedback, improve the solution month to months? How has your experience been on that end with our team?
I would say, man, I feel like I'm like one of your biggest cheerleaders, but I would say it's been really refreshing in that just customer experience that we've received so far. And I say experience because it's not just from a support standpoint when we need something. It's that collaboration between the teams of, hey, we'd really like to see this. And next thing you know, like, oh, yep, great point. We're also hearing that from other customers as well. Few weeks, months go by down the road of R&D, and that's a new feature that's launched at that point in time. And it's not years until those new features come out. I feel like you guys are listening. You truly care what your customers think and need from the product, and you're taking that into consideration and implementing that based off the feedback that's coming in.
That's awesome to hear. We get a lot of general contractors sometimes that always want X, Y, and Z more in the product, and I always challenge them to say, go ask Microsoft Project if they could improve those functionalities for you, and see what they say. So it's always, what I tell prospects or people that are interested is, we're getting you 80% of the way. Let's get to 100% together. And it's nice to hear it from you, because when they hear it from the sales guy, it's, well, is it going to be true or not? But we've been building the last couple of years Outbuild based only on customer feedback, and this is how I think you bought Outbuild. But if your team doesn't buy into it and doesn't like it, then it's very difficult. So that making the superintendents in the field happy because they have an iPad app where they could update progress in real time. Oh, that just saved me an hour. I just go walk, click, create roadblock, update my schedule, done. Like that. That's as simple as it is. Just the way they're doing it in Procore, because they grew so used to have an iPad app that they could do everything from.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's truly a partnership too. We can't expect as the customer that Outbuild is going to fit our process procedures the way we have traditionally done it 100%, right? Like you said, if you can get 80% of the way there, can we meet you at the 20% to say, okay, maybe we do need to tweak our process procedure a little bit to meet Outbuild? But it's that partnership is saying, like, we both have the same goal in mind. Where does that meet up in the middle?
What did you put in place at Warfel to ensure a successful transition? Because it's a rip and replace, so it's never easy to coach everybody on, oh, we're going to use something new, and there's always that challenge conversation with people that everybody is adverse to change. So what did you put into play?
I'd say what is working currently really well for us is taking a phased rollout approach in which we are, as new projects come online for us during that turnover process, we are then bringing Outbuild on at that point in time, or even in pre-construction as new projects come in, bringing Outbuild into the equation at that point in time, rather than taking a holistic approach of saying, hey, every project is going to switch from our current software to Outbuild at this point in time. That's where you create a lot of angst with your teams. And then also we're putting something different in front of a client in the middle of a project. And that's also not a great message to send as well with the amount of change that's going on. So we try to take the phased rollout approach of just as new projects come in, as they're coming online, introducing Outbuild to them at that point in time, sitting down with individual project teams and really doing a training to that project team. So that way it's not also, hey, I got a training on this 6 months ago, but I didn't have a new project start until now. We are getting, it's more real-time training as they're getting into the product. So, truly until we are 100% all Outbuild, it might be a year, and that's okay because I think it's the right slow approach to make sure our team, it is accepting of the change and doesn't feel like it's necessarily, forced on them.
And that's awesome to hear. That's always what we prone is tell us how it would work best for your company. We've had companies that say, oh, I'm out, I don't want to use that other tool anymore. That's plug and play. That help us, please. In a month, we want to do it. But it's a nice thing, the ability to import your file and build from those, and you don't have to always feel like you have to plug it out right away. I know there's always a concern of, oh, am I getting the value for the investment I did right away? Well, with change, it's always going to take a little bit.
Yeah.
But something that's not quantified is our team, all being from construction, where you get training, you don't only get training in Outbuild, it's best practices around scheduling, best practices around planning. And it feels like that's something that if it's Outbuild or someone else in 5 years, your teams will keep, because these are best practices that will help them, being better builders in the end.
Yeah, and you got to take the long game approach with that as well. If you're concerned about, trying to get immediate ROI out of a product within for several months, well, then yeah, that's a little bit short-sighted and from my opinion. But like, yeah, got to take a long approach, take the partnership approach.
True, and that's what we've been pushing for. Where do you see scheduling and planning going in the next 5-10 years? What are some of the great things that you're looking for, whether it's integrations with Procore or like
Yeah.
what are dreams made of for you, Dylan?
Yeah, I mean, I know we've kind of chatted just, a little bit of, right now the hot topic that everyone can't, stop talking about is, AI and how's that going to be integrated more and more into the construction industry and kind of what we do, especially on those administrative items. Like I'm much of the opinion that it's not coming in to, necessarily take people's jobs and say, hey, people aren't going to be scheduling it anymore in the next, 2 years or whatever it might be. But, how can we do what we do now more efficiently, more effectively, with more accuracy to allow us to focus more on the relational type things in our people-driven industry and less on the paperwork, document processing, hours of building a schedule, whatever that may be. And I'm excited for what that's going to bring to the table, whether that looks like, hey, we can put in some criteria into a menu and it kind of spits out the bones of a schedule based on, what's the structure type, what's the square footage, what industry or sector is the project from. And I think that's all going to be great. But again, it's to that overall message and initiative of being able to do more with less people, less time, because it's also no secret that labor is hard to come by in our industry, whether it be from the field staff of putting work in place, skilled labor out in the field, or even on the office staff. So I'd say both things are going to help us be able to do more with less.
That's awesome. Something I didn't touch base on. I know we how for you as a director of operations, you need to be able as your role to support teams, right? That's key. It's like which teams do I need to get in and support? How great is it for you to just know that all your schedules are in one place, connecting to Procore and be able to tap into this? Because that's something that a lot of people don't consider. Or before you had to look into a file folder structure, which versions and so on. What has been that experience for you to be able to quickly know I need to call that project team because this doesn't look good to me, I need to check it out without having to ask them for an update?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to necessarily even just speak for myself, but I think I can also speak for my director of field operations that oversees our entire field staff. And he's always looking at project schedules, taking a pulse for where projects are at based on his walkthroughs out on the job site, comparing it back to how we're tracking it, making sure we're tracking it accurately. But I would say from both of us, being able to go to again one source of truth and know that the schedule that we're looking at is accurate and the most like updated, and again not trying to filter through a file tree, and one project team schedules it here, one project team saves it there. We know that we're looking at the correct schedule.
And then what will be great is as you start completing all those jobs through all the data you get based on which superintendent did well, which subcontractor did well, how do we keep improving our relationship with trades? Because in the end, you're only as good as the subcontractors are putting work in place.
Yeah,
And that's a component where we say it's unlimited users where people get spooked. Oh, I don't want the subs to touch anything. But I did self-perform concrete. I would have loved to just be able to be home and look at my look ahead and being able to know that's my next 4 weeks without having to call a superintendent every
yeah.
hour to know the update.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit on trade stacking earlier in our conversation, but how about the ability to look at a single trade across our entire portfolio of work? Maybe it's a drywaller that we utilize a lot, and while he might have the manpower capacity to handle this one project, if we give them five large projects and we see that in the overall project portfolio of are we giving one trade too much work, not enough work, whatever that might be, helping really balance our trade partner relationships as well.
And for your PMs or super too, I'm sure you have some special products group supers that are on 2-3 jobs, or PM
Yep.
twos. What is too much? Do I have coverage? Do I not have? Do I need to hire someone else? Do we need to keep somebody busy because we don't have work coming up?
Yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward to that feature and being able to leverage that.
To touch base real quick on the support, how do your teams like that little chat bubble that you have on
Oh,
Outbuild?
that's great. I would say it's so easy to use, and just being able to get an answer kind of like at the flick of a switch has been extremely helpful. I know previously for myself, it's emailing, maybe even through a schedule software broker, and truly just to a general support email, maybe getting a response back 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever that might be. That instantaneous response helps out a lot because it keeps us moving. Help because usually we're in the middle of it. We're in the middle of a schedule update, in the middle of creating a schedule, and we kind of need a quick response here and now, or else it really derails what's currently going on. So that's been extremely helpful.
And that's also something that's hard to put a dollar on, right? But I feel like
Right.
when you purchased Outbuild, you also went into a partnership more so than I'm buying a solution and then I'm on my own, and it's very difficult to put an amount on this because of course we provide more, we do more things. It'll be a bit of an investment because you've been also comparing. A lot of companies only provide scheduling software to PMs, but you want everybody to have access. So there's an apples to apples comparison to make. But I think that's also a component of we have your back, whether it's a superintendent, a PM that needs something, a subcontractor that doesn't know how to do something if they need access.
Hmm.
You don't have to be the bottleneck of all the information, which means it might take a week to get an answer to your super. No, it's right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, to wrap this up, I think we're running a little bit out of time, but a question I meant to ask you is, if you were to recommend Outbuild to another company or someone that is in your position, what would be your way of approaching it, and how would you just, in a couple simple words, demonstrate, this is something you should be looking into for your organization?
Yeah, I think one of the simplest ways to look at the evaluation of it is closing that gap of communication breakdown between your 3 week and your CPM schedule. And again, I talked about it a little bit earlier when I mentioned losing a day here, losing a day there doesn't necessarily show up when you're doing like those biweekly updates and the two aren't linked together. But what they add up to is a schedule crunch at the end of your project where your team doesn't have enough ability to do punch list process, really going through and validating the finished work of that product and being able to deliver a high quality product that meets your standards for your client and meet the client satisfaction. And being able to utilize a schedule software, has that communication between the two, puts you and sets you you up to be more successful, to not have that crunch at the end of the project, to sacrifice, you know, that punch list process, which is absolutely necessary for a successful project. So I think it's setting that team up right to really punch through successfully at the finish line.
And would you say that you could now leverage Outbuild as a competitive advantage to an owner and say, hey, we're using the best solution, like Outbuild and Procore knows the solution you use, but
Yeah.
that is a conversation you have with maybe an owner, or you could have saying, oh, you know, this is how we will ensure the success of your project.
Yeah, we are investing in a you know, best in class software that allows us to deliver a best in class product. That's definitely true. It's another tool in our tool belt.
And so in a short summary, your hope with Outbuild is ensuring your projects are delivered on time. That's not an if, because as you know, it hurts your relationship with clients. You might not get the next job. If it doesn't, you might have damages, penalties that you have to pay. So everything you could put in your corner to make sure it's either done early or on time is the real reason why in the end, you know, that scheduling implementation has been done.
Yeah, finishing on time is invaluable. I mean, it's aside from finishing late and, you know, LDs or anything that might be associated with your project. But if you have a 12-month project and you just knock it out of the park, do an amazing job for the first 11 months, but you fall and you skin your knee on that last 12th month and you don't deliver on time, or you fumble through the finish line, that's what the client is going to remember. They're going to remember you fumbling at the finish line. Whereas, like, you can do an okay job throughout the course of the project, but if you do an excellent job finishing on time, delivering a product, especially to be able to deliver through that handoff and punch list phase at the end of the project, that's what they're going to remember. And to me, Outbuild allows us to do that.
Awesome. Well, that's all I have. Any questions for me, Dylan?
No, I don't think so. I really enjoyed the conversation today. I appreciate you having me on. This was fun, and yeah, look forward to maybe doing it again.
We'll do it again in a year and see how it has progressed and see if you still have the the same conversation. But again, thanks so much, Dylan. This was awesome.